Welcome to PWE Music. I'm Dr. Patrick Englert, and today we're going to be taking a Welcome to PWE Music. I'm Dr. Patrick Englert, and today we have a quick clarinet lesson on taking our first steps into the second register. And to do that, we're going to be using the register key. So the fancy words for this, we're going from the first register, or the chalumeau register, to the second register, also known as the clarion register. So to get started, we first want to have a good grasp of the notes using our 6 fingers in the front, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, plus the thumb. You want to make sure that you can pretty consistently close the holes, or else it's going to be a little bit difficult getting these second register notes out. You're likely going to end up with a really high squeak. Next, we want to make sure the thumb position is good. So what I like to do is have my thumb at a little bit of an angle, and I'm kind of twisting and not really doing a great job, but you want your thumb to be at an angle going over that hole so that you can just barely graze the edge of that key. You don't need to have a lot of your thumb on it. You want to maintain a natural shape in the front with your hand and kind of angle that thumb so that we can push that register key down. So once we got that, we're ready to take our first steps into the second register. And the note that I like to start on is C. So using just the left hand. And I have a couple reasons for this. One, if we're still working on keeping the holes closed, trying to do something like low G or some things using the pinkies or the right hand will more than likely cause fingers on the left hand to sneak off and not cover the holes fully, as I said before, resulting in a squeak. So I try to leave the right hand off of this, simplify it, just use the left hand. C is also low enough that we're not having to worry too much about voicing and embouchure control. G, which is the note we'll get adding the register key, G above the staff. G should be pretty easy for most students, even if they're still working on firming up that embouchure and getting their voicing, tongue position, and air under control. So we'll be starting with C. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a C. We're just going to keep the air moving consistently. Don't move anything in the embouchure or the tongue. All we want to do is press down that register key. And as I said before, the note we'll get is G above the staff. It's an octave plus a fifth away. So let's hear what that's going to sound like. So we should go from a lower note to a pretty higher note. One more time. So once again, we're going from C to G. Now from here, depending on the student, we can go either up or down. Of course, bearing in mind the difficulties of going either way. For now, let's go up. So we're just going to use the rings. We're not going to add any extra keys or go chromatically. So we go from C, we'll go up to D natural. So thumb, 1, 2. If we follow the pattern, we went from C to D on the lower end. We'll go from G to A on the higher end. So we're going from D, we're going to play an A once we press the register key down. One more time, D to A. Continue up. Now we'll play E. When we add the register key, we'll get a high B. And to finish it off, we'll go to thumb F, F natural, and that'll give us C. In my experience, students have a pretty easy time with C, D, and E going up to G, A, and B respectively, and F up to C is where things can start to get a little more difficult, and then they need to practice some in the second register. If we go down, we'll start back at C, we'll add the first finger on the right hand. Now this is going to give us B flat. And this one might be a little bit confusing as you start learning to read music and how the musical alphabet works. We're going to be using B flat, and when we press down the register key, that'll give us F natural. So remember, B flat will go up to F natural. And the reason for this is something that you don't need to worry about. You just need to make sure that you have those connected for right now. We continue down to A. A will go up to E. And if we're just using the rings, the last one will be G up to D. So that's our first step into the second register. And with a little bit of practice, getting all these under your fingers and making it sound like it shouldn't be too much trouble. So once you have this under control, we can add our simple technical patterns like scales or arpeggios as a way to practice this going from the first to the second register. And this is a really excellent exercise to do with your clarinet students. I mean, this is something that students even through college will work on. And I'll demonstrate like an arpeggio pattern. So we start by playing the lower note, adding the register key to the higher note. Now remember, we go from tonic to the fifth. So we'll be playing an arpeggio based on the lower note. And so for our example, I'll play C, we'll go up to G, and then we'll go down on a C major arpeggio. So with younger students, this might be something that we're just working on getting the notes and working on fingerings and working on our arpeggios. With older students, it's a little bit more of a tone and a voicing and an air support exercise. Alternatively, we can do the same thing with a scale. So again, we're starting on C, we're going up to G, and in this case, we would be doing a C major scale. And remember, depending on what the lower note is, that's the key that you want to be working in. So if we went down to say B flat, we'd be playing in B flat, either for an arpeggio or a major scale. Of course, you can use different qualities. That's up to you. I just use major since that's what most younger students will be working on. So that about concludes our first steps into the second register and some tips on how to build off of those first steps. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments, like, subscribe, check out the Patreon while you're at it, and we'll see you in the next video. If you made it this far, thanks for watching through the entire video. I hope it was helpful. Normally this is where I have a card with links to my Patreon and my Etsy, but I wanted to take a second to give you an idea of what you're going to find at both of those. For my Patreon, there's one level, $5 a month, and that's to help keep these videos coming out. I know lessons can be expensive, and I want this information to be able to be found regardless of your situation, whether you can take lessons or not. The $5 a month also gets you access to a PWE Music Discord server, which if it's not up when you're watching this video, it should be soon. And as of right now, that's just an opportunity to ask me questions, get my thoughts on things, and hopefully as the community grows, you'll be able to get in touch with clarinetists and musicians from around the world. At my Etsy shop, you'll find custom woodworking, and applicable to this are custom reed cases. So as a woodworker, I enjoy making accessories for musical instruments, and everybody should have a reed case if you don't. And not that you need to have a fancy custom one, but I do offer 3D printed reed cases as well as custom wood cases. So hopefully you'll check out either one, give some support to the channel, and I'll keep these videos coming.